Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Rocky, starring Sylvester Stallone, Talia Shire, Burt Young, Carl Weathers, and Burgess Meredith, and directed by John G. Avildsen. Forgive me if I said that wrong, pal. I'm sure you're a great director, but I'm sorry I said your name wrong. So, I remember seeing this movie a couple of times in my life. This will be my third, fourth watching in general. I could be wrong. Take that back. I'm sorry. It might be my sixth or seventh. I forget. But this movie is an instant classic. That's why it won Best Picture. So, of the year 1976. And is it still holds up today? Well, let's talk about it. We open with Rocky Balboa at around Thanksgiving time in 1975, boxing against Spider Rico, who we'll see in the later movies. In a later movie, which I won't spoil it now, but we see a very young, maybe around 30 years old Rocky Balboa, played by Academy Award winner for this role, Sylvester Stallone. And I was really impressed with Stallone's acting here than in other movies. Maybe it's because we get a great director who's another famous movie he directed, the original of this, which is another classic, and which is the best and only one of that series I've seen, with an exception of that remake. I really enjoyed Stallone's performance. We get to the pet shop, where we get introduced to Adrian, played by Talia Shire, who I really enjoy in this movie despite being a plain Jane, but she gives a great performance. I didn't know when I first saw this that Rocky Balboa was in the Mafia for a man named Mr. Gast. Sorry, I can't remember his full name, and his evil driver named Buddy, but thank God he doesn't stay there when he becomes a professional underdog boxer, because the Mafia scene is where I have a little bit of problems with this movie, but that's very little. Mickey, played by Burgess Meredith, moves Rocky's gear out of his locker and calls him a tomato, which sounds like tomato for sure. Which sounds kind of mean, but I do like Mickey, and he, like Rocky, has a very powerful arc with this movie beautifully directed. Rocky's friend Paulie, played by Burt Young, who can be an abusive drunk, and I've seen that in other movies of his, but I really like him as a character. The way Burt Young plays him is magnificent. Rocky and the audience are at a bar, and we see on TV Apollo Creed, played by Carl Weathers, is looking for an underdog fighter to fight with, and I really like Carl Weathers. He's perfect casting as Apollo Creed. Little Marie is kind of mean to Rocky when he's trying to help her out in life, and she calls Rocky a creepo after he walks her home, which she'll be a much better character in the later movie. For now, I just don't like her because she acts rude to Rocky. Like, geez Louise, can you be more respectful to your elders? Rocky goes over to Paulie's and to take his sister Adrian out on a date on Thanksgiving night, which is a time to be with family, but Rocky thinks of the day being Thursday. But Paulie acts like a jerk about it, throwing the turkey out and treats her like a dog. And Rocky makes her feel better and takes her ice skating? Yeah, ice skating. After hours, which is usually romantic, but not on a holiday where you spend time with family. But I was impressed with the story, romance, and acting from Sylvester Stallone and Talia Shire. Apollo Creed's manager asks Rocky to fight Apollo Creed, and I like that scene. It's well acted, the dialogue is great, and the writing is fantastic. And Mickey asks Rocky to be his manager, and that's great writing and great acting. Rocky gets to work on training for the big fight with Apollo Creed, and we get a classic training of punching raw meat in the factory where Paulie works at, and I love the way that scene was shot when Rocky punches raw meat. That was a great shot. Paulie comes home one night drunk, and acts violent with Rocky and Adrian, and was a pretty powerful scene. And sentimentalness, and Rocky training and the song that's famous from the movie called Gonna Fly Now, and the classic image of Rocky jogging up the Philadelphia Stair Park and Rocky putting his hands up and jumping and cheering was a very great image of this movie. And real life boxers should watch this movie. That moment is amazing. The fight between Rocky, the Italian stallion Balboa, and Apollo Creed was a fantastic fight, with a split decision on who won the fight. And Apollo might have won the fight, but Rocky won the day and becomes famous and has the love of his life, Adrian, and the movie ends with the audience having a heart for this movie and this character. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 9.0 out of 10. This is a fantastic movie with a very good acting, and a very good story to tell of an underdog story. This may be the best Stallone performance out of any of his other movies. And that's why he won the Oscar for that year. This may be my top 5 favorite series under Star Wars, Planet of the Apes, and Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love this movie that much. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next week I will be back with Rocky 2. And until next time, hey yo, Paulie, hit the music!